Speedway Anywhere on Blog Talk Radio/Speedway Anywhere with your crew chief, Q.
Hey, race fans, come on in. Speedway Anywhere time. Where a checker pass is a good thing. So we have an elephant in the room. An elephant of a few different colors. Chicago has given their blessing to bring in the Cup Series on a street course for a 3-year contract beginning next year. The elephant in the room? Remember pre-COVID? When schedules were announced in late March, early August, or April, well, we don't have that anymore. The schedules are being spread out throughout the year before we will know what's going on next year. Road America is rumored to be the track that would lose its date to Chicago to make room on the calendar, so still waiting for the full news. That will be July 19th before they really solidify what's going to go on in 2023. I have a huge problem with the idea of Wisconsin losing the Cup date. We're talking about a state that has produced multiple champions and multiple NASCAR champions, as well as multiple winners at the sport's highest level. So the fact that Wisconsin has only ran 2 Cup races for the first time since the 50s or 60s is a shame. Sure, the Busch Series has been there for decades, but the race was moved to Road America when Milwaukee Mile didn't have a contract any longer. And that really wasn't that long ago. So if the Busch Series and the Cup Series both move to Chicago, that means Wisconsin gets screwed. We're talking about Alan Kulwicki. We're talking about Matt Kenseth. Both champions at the highest level, the Cup level. Multi-time winners in Dick Trickle, who took, his first actual NASCAR win was at Hickory in '97. And then later on, I was sitting there watching him beat Dale Jr. at Little Darlington. So, up-and-comers too, like Ty Majeski, Derek Cross, Luke Fenhaus. I mean, this list is so abbreviated. I could go on till dawn. So, did I leave out the Sauter family, by the way? You might have heard of Jim Sauter. He was definitely a veteran. Him, Dave Marcus. I mean, come on. But yeah, I was a built-in fan of Jim Sauter's boys and grandbuddies. Hi, Tyler, if you're watching. I often call Wisconsin the Midwest Mecca of stock car racing. Another is the Charlotte of the upper Midwest. I just feel that NASCAR investors would be doing a disservice to exclude the state of Wisconsin on the calendar. Chicago had its chance, okay, with Chicagoland. Sure, it's an hour out of Chicago, it's Joliet, but that's no excuse to take away a date from Wisconsin. If there's any yin to that yang, it's a road course. Obviously, the sanctioning body oversaturated the 2021 season, adding way too many road courses, and that was a hard pill to swallow, and I'm pretty sure that it hasn't digested yet. Maybe if they remove half that pill, it will finally process. Don't take that too literally. Replace it with some short tracks like Iowa Speedway in Newton. I mean, I've been there. My buddy's been there. My whole family's been there. And but put something like that up in Wisconsin. And you can even expand some of the Wisconsin tracks to become more like a Newton, Iowa. Okay? Newton's never had a cup race. Wisconsin's never had an oval cup race. But whatever. Indy infield comes to mind too. And let's get that back on the Brickyard. I don't see the sense in what was meant to be a F1 track now becoming the big road course race at Indy. I don't. Just use it as a parking lot. Get back on the Brickyard. Please. Before I get to other things, Minneapolis, Minnesota brought in a street course, by the way, kind of like Chicago wants to. They did that for 3 years. Not NASCAR, but still a cool downtown event. But that's racing in Minnesota. It was bound to fail. Even though the promoters and series proprietors of IMSA, SCCA, Trans Am, and other sports car touring series, they busted their ass to make that happen and cooperate with the city of Minneapolis, but Minneapolis was not cooperating with them. So if you're gonna take a ride through downtown Minneapolis across what used to be the street course, I dare you find one pothole in that entire resurfacing that they did for the Grand Prix. You ain't going to. And then drive the rest of downtown Minneapolis and see what that does to your car. So if you're tuning in for the weekend after the 4th of July, it's now time for the second half of the Cup Series, second half of the SRX Series. Trucks are back on track at Mid-Ohio for the first time. Xfinity will join Cup Series at Atlanta for the new Super Speedway. Draft pack racing on a 1.5 mile. It's disappointing to me. I saw it back in March, and it's like a 2/3 version of Daytona. But I'm going to guess Ryan Blaney, who's been winless this year, I think he will stamp his ticket as the 14th driver of the 16 to lock into the playoffs. The Xfinity Series is always a toss-up, but I'm going to go with Josh Berry. I mean, come on. With Dale Jr. as your team owner, Dale Jr. did not suck on super speedway tracks. Maybe Dale Jr. has little advice to give his drivers. Sorry, hiccups. Dale Jr. will have a little advice to give to his drivers, even though it's a mile and a half, not a 2.5 mile, but it races like one. Let's see. All right. Last but not least, the Truck Series. They're going to Mid-Ohio, another road course. Ty Majeski hasn't finished worse than top 10 since God knows when. I think his highest finish was at Sonoma on a road course, and he won't have Kyle Busch there at Mid-Ohio. So even though Zane Smith finished one spot ahead of him, I think it's going to be another Smith that will represent the front row at the finish. I'm not saying in the beginning. So, SRX, they're going to be at Nashville Fairgrounds with 13 starters this time around. Matt Kenseth and Haley Deegan will be on the roster. Joseph Newgarden also, not regulars. So, last year Nashville was the finale for SRX. I think they should have kept it that way, but whatever. I'm sorry to say the last two will be dirt races. Now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Tony. Am I sorry to say that Paul Tracy will probably cause some trouble? No, I'm not sorry. But I'm pumped for Kenseth, who will be making his debut in the XRX. It'd be cool to see last week's winner, Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart, and Kenseth duking it out at a classic NASCAR track for the win. And maybe along with homeboy Joseph Newgarden, IndyCar driver, he might have something to say about that. So the lineup for Saturday is on the 9th. I'm screwing up. Trucks are on FS1, 1:30 Eastern at Mid-Ohio. Xfinity will be on USA starting at 5 Eastern time. And by the way, I hope you know how to translate Eastern times to Central times to Mountain times to Western time. But yeah, Xfinity will be on USA at 5 Eastern. SRX, CBS, tomorrow night, 8 Eastern time. And you have no excuse not to watch it. Okay, you got the little rabbit ears on your TV. You can get CBS network, depending upon where you live, but you probably don't get any TV except for Green Acres, are the place to be. But SRX tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And then to finalize it all for the weekend, it'll be the Cup Series, 3 p.m. Eastern time, 2 o'clock Central time, 1 o'clock Mountain time, noon, and that's the only reason they do that, for a late start, Western time. That'll be on USA Network. Maybe we can get back to where just because you live in California, the races don't start so late in the afternoon. I mean, it's just my opinion. NHRA will be back on July 17th. IndyCar will be back on Sunday, July 17th. So, but the thing about NHRA, they're going to be out at my daughter's new hometown out there in Colorado at Denver Mile High Dragway. Bittersweet. Even though she used to live 10 minutes from Brainerd for the August race. So let's check in with each other next week. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you want updates when my new episodes come out. Thanks for joining me, and this has been Speedway Anywhere. Appreciate you watching in, joining in. Leave me your comments.
Speedway Anywhere on Block Talk Radio, your source for stock car, any car, or any car, no matter how many wheels.